Kelly Johnson Drinker. Oh, we were just talking about this before we went live. Will Boba Fett have a fair and equitable end?
I certainly hope so. I want justice for the Sand people.
I know. I was like, I don't know. People love to shit on the book of Boba Fett, but I really felt something for the Sand people. I forget which episode it was, but like you're watching his whole journey. He's like bonding with them. And I was surprised that he didn't pick up like any of the Sand people language, but he understood them. He fought with them, fought for them. He had his own little stick made of a branch that he marched out into the desert for, and they just were killed by the fish people? What were they called?
Oh, some biker gang, I think, killed them.
Pikes, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Just, well, there it is.
There it is. And
I don't know what to say there.
I was like, should I was like, Drinker, do you mind if I spoil the latest episode of Book of Boba Fett? He's like, spoil away. So Mandalorian, and it was teased in the episode prior that the Mandalorian was going to show face Din Djarin. I didn't know that was his real name, but that's what they called him by. So he comes back, and he sort of, it's interesting because he meets back up with the two other, I guess, OG Mandalorians, the lady Mandalorian who had like the fur piece on her.
Oh, she was like the armor crafter, wasn't she, or something?
Yes, and I like that she is like a lady in charge, but she's not talking about how she's a lady in charge all the time, like at all. She doesn't mention it at all. She just is a boss, and she's not like, I'm female, everyone deal with it. And then him and this other Mandalorian, this bigger guy, they kind of fight because the bigger Mandalorian wants the black saber, but then he doesn't end up getting it. And then at the end, she asks the two of them, like, oh, have you ever taken off your helmet? And then the other guy says, no, of course not. And she's like, has it ever been taken off of you? And he's like, no, of course not. And then she asks Mandalorian that, and she's like, have you ever taken off your helmet? And he's like, fuck. And then he has to go, and she sort of casts him out. And I was like, wow, this is kind of just like the conservative party here in the US. It's like, this rules are so strict. It's like, if you've watched even a little bit of porn, get out, I feel like that's what's happening. But he kept his black saber. And I wonder if he will end up being reunited with those two. It's like, it's just the two of them. It's not like, it's like all your Mandalorians have been pretty much killed. It's like, I think they would do well to loosen up some of their rules. And I was I'd be interested to see like what you think of it, because there's a ship that they're on that looks just like the ship from Halo. It's like this big,
the ring,
basically, like ring ship that's pretty similar. So I wonder if maybe there's some people involved that worked on both.
I mean, Star Wars is a weird and wonderful universe, so I guess there's no reason they can't have crazy technology like that. Seems a bit of an odd thing that I've never seen before, but yeah, fine. I just think it's interesting that like taking your helmet off is such a big thing for the Mandalorians, and yet like Boba Fett just cannot keep his fucking on.
Yeah,
Like
he
he just
wants
has to show
everyone
his
to
face.
see his bloated head 24/7. He's like, and everyone's like, "Is that Joe Rogan?" No, it's Boba Fett.
I can see the confusion. Yeah, like damn, it's not like he's such a gorgeous man that like he needs to show his face every 2 minutes. Yeah, you'd think he'd keep it on just for safety, if nothing else.
It's weird. It's like he wants people to see his face, but he won't do the whole like laying on a tarp, being carried by minions that the Hutts do. The big fatties with the fans. They like to be carried around everywhere.
Yeah.
I forget what it's called. Like when it's like a posse of people that show up with you.
Yeah, an entourage, basically.
Yeah, entourage. A litter? A litter like of puppies? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So no, I don't know. I've been entertained by Boba Fett. I'm kind of enjoying it. It does sort of feel like a sort of a Mandalorian's, season 2.5 in a sense, especially with this most recent episode.
It really, for me, it just feels like filler. It's like they were told we need a series. What should we make it about? I don't know what's available. Boba Fett, yeah, he'll do, and just like construct some kind of really quick, easy story around it. Like so many of the episodes just feel like you could condense like 2 or 3 of them into one, and it would make for a much tighter story. And yeah, it's just, I think when Mahler and I were talking about this, we just call it content now because
Mm,
that's really all it is. It's not entertainment as such, and it's not a story that needs to be told. It's just content for content's sake, because we need to drive Disney Plus subscriptions. We need to just have that pipeline of stuff coming out all the time for people to watch. Like, you binge one series, you move straight on to the next one, and so we just need more Star Wars things. And this is the kind of problem, and this is what my fear was when the Mandalorian did well. That the lesson Disney would learn from it is like, cool, we just need like half a dozen more shows exactly like the Mandalorian, and just produce them nice and cheap. Hey, we've got the set on Tatooine with lots of sand. Yeah, we'll just set most of our series there, because Obi-Wan's going to be set there as well. And we
okay.
can just do it nice and cheap. You reuse the same sets. Away you go.
Same
No problem.
sand. Just flip over
Same
the
sand.
sand, get the
Yeah,
blood off. Yeah.
that's it.
So that's interesting because I've talked to some of the Friday Night Tights guys are not watching Book of Boba Fett because they're like, oh, I stand with Gina, which I get, but I feel like I don't know, people would like to hear their commentary, but they, they'll watch reactions of other people or teasers and they'll be like, they're of the mind like, oh, this is wrong. They're telling the story of Boba Fett all wrong. They're doing it wrong. And it seems like you're of the mind like, yeah, not that it's wrong, but it's just a story that doesn't need to be told. It's like not that interesting.
I mean, it's both of those things for me. Like, I think he's acting weird and out of character. He's kind of dumb and gullible when the Boba Fett from the original movies was like really sharp and ruthless, and just he feels like a completely different person. And they've just made him that way to fit the needs of the story. In which case, why even make a series about him in the first place? If you just want a different character, just do that.
Right.
So that's my issue with it, I suppose, is that it doesn't feel particularly faithful to the original Boba Fett. And yeah, he's now just played by this, old tubby actor in his 60s who can't do the action scenes anymore, and who just looks
My back.
completely kind of, yeah, like, about the extent of his work is that he'll jump off a little platform onto a step below, and you can almost imagine him being like, oh shit, that's gonna hurt tomorrow morning. Yeah.
My knees.
Yeah.
What would a more faithful Boba Fett look like? Less dialogue, more mystery, him being more of a badass, probably, maybe,
I think, yeah, like him probably would make sense for him to become a bounty hunter again, rather than this weird crime lord thing where he just stays in one place. I know why they're not doing that, because it would make it too similar to the Mandalorian, where he's
hmm.
just kind of questing across the galaxy. But that's who he is. He's like Mandalorian, but like twice as good. He's more
Oh,
experienced.
wow.
He's ruthless. He's happy to just disintegrate people who fuck with him.
And you wouldn't
Um,
know that by watching the show. If you didn't know that Boba Fett was a even more badass than Din Djarin, it doesn't come across at all. He seems softer. He seems like, "I'm old and ready to hang it up. Like, I'm gonna
yeah,
run a
this is
general store."
this is the thing. Yeah, you should just retire and have a nice little garden somewhere, and just potter around. That's what he wants to do. Yeah, like every time he's faced with danger or people who are very obviously out to kill him, his reaction is, "Let's do nothing. Let's just wait." And it's usually his sidekick, Fennec, who has to say to him, "No, you need to show strength here. You need to be ruthless. You need to like stamp down your authority." And it's like she's more of a Boba Fett than he is, and it feels weird. It feels like she's doing his job for him.
Which serves the women empowerment message, I guess.
I would have been happy to have a series about her. Like, to be honest,
True.
like if you're going to just
Yeah.
have her being badass and just doing her own thing, fine. I could live with that because she's an original character, and let Boba Fett do his own thing. But as it stands, it feels like they're just treading on each other's toes. It's a really weird dynamic they've got
It
going on.
does seem that way because she's a great actress. She's a badass character. She doesn't need anybody, and she's not like an active man hater in that way. She just does her job. She's kind of like surviving all the time. And yeah, I don't know why they didn't, maybe because not enough name recognition as
Mauler
Boba
made a good
Fett.
point about this, right? Because they're both basically assassins and bounty hunters and stuff, right? It would be really cool for them to be like comparing notes. Like, if you do have to have a show with the two of
Ooh.
them in it, like have them approach things differently and be like maybe competing with each other a little bit. Like, I'm more badass. No, I'm more badass than you. I've killed
And then
more
they make
people.
out.
Yeah,
No?
exactly. Whatever. Yeah, you can do that. In their armor, of course.
Clink, 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 clink.
Yeah, it'd be really awkward.
Metal kisses. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, something like that, just to give them more personality and a little bit of bite to their relationship. But as it stands, it's just like two robots exchanging information. Like there's no personality, there's nothing behind it. It's just weird.
Yeah, I agree. It is a little weird.